If you don't know exactly what's happening here, you may think it's simply a patient surrounded by his care team, which is true. He's lucid.
You ready to come up?
Yeah.
Even has his sense of humor.
How are you feeling?
Never thought of that. I was focused on that.
But patient Richard Johnson is about to make history.
1, 2, 3, push on up. Be strong work.
You're watching the first patient ever at the University of Kansas Health System to walk while on this kind of ECMO.
There you go.
Good job, Daddy.
It's been a journey. It's been a heck of a ride.
A heck of a ride is exactly how this free spirit would describe the past few months. But his wife Marcy, who happens to be a cardiac rehab nurse, says her free-spirited husband can also be incredibly stubborn.
I had asked him to come with me to the hospital for about 2 weeks straight, almost going on 3 weeks. So
Yeah, I wasn't going to admit that.
We'll explain V-A ECMO in a little bit, but the events leading up to all this began way back in 2007. That's when Richard was first diagnosed with congestive heart failure. He successfully managed it for years with a pacemaker and medication. Doing so well, he moved to Maui to teach surfing and lead kayaking and whale watching excursions. It's where he met his wife Marcy, who, as fate would have it, was his next-door neighbor.
Of all the stars we collided.
They fell in love through their shared love of the ocean. What sealed it for Marcy was when Richard pulled a diamond out of the ocean and gave it to her. No, really.
one day I had lost my real diamond as we were snorkeling, and I kind of was like panicked because I couldn't believe I left him in and went, into the ocean. And so he goes down, and in all this sand
And reef, yeah.
reef he finds his diamond, and right away I started thinking, oh my gosh, isn't this the guy? He got me jewelry out of the ocean.
Even when Richard's heart did become an issue, as much as he didn't want to face it, ultimately they moved back to the Kansas City area to be near Richard's grown children. Marcy began working at the University of Kansas Health System. Then late one night in August 2024, Richard finally agreed to go to the hospital to be checked out.
I'm that guy that won't go to the hospital unless I'm dying. Well, apparently I was.
Richard was told he needed a heart transplant, and not only that, he was immediately placed on veno-arterial ECMO, or V-A ECMO. The ECMO was a large and intimidating-looking machine that would keep him alive until he could get a heart. The VA part of it meant 2 cannulas the size of garden hoses were inserted into each side of Richard's groin, pumping blood from his femoral vein out to the machine to filter it, then back through the cannula on the other side into his femoral artery, where it was pumped back to his aorta.
And then they sew that tubing down to your leg. They stitch it into your skin so it doesn't move. It can't move. So it's pinned on both sides. I couldn't really move that much of my legs.
As you can imagine, it did not feel good. Richard would need to lie motionless with the tubes sewn into his legs until he could get a new heart. So imagine his care team's surprise when, just 3 days in,
I was like, I've got to move. And every time I move, everyone's like, don't move, don't move. And
Richard asked his doctor, Dr. Tyler Zorn, if there was any way he could get up and walk.
he said no one had done it, and I said, well, I'll do it. Let's go.
Which brings us to this historic moment. He only made it a few feet the first time. The second time, he made it all the way down the hall. And finally, on September 1st, Richard got his new heart.
And apparently my heart was very big. Like, usually you can put it in a little pan, and he literally had to get a bucket.
Doctors later told him that heart arrived just in the nick of time.
I guess I only had about 4 hours left of ECMO before that was it. That was my number would have been up.
Today, with his wife by his side, Richard vows to honor his donor every day by embracing his second chance at life.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything that's, going to damage this organ.
He also has plans to honor his donor by taking his donor's heart to the ocean so Richard can take them both surfing.
I'm not going to do big things, but this person is definitely going to surf.